Hello YouTube, Shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another awesome video. And as you can tell by the title, this is yet another installment of my seemingly popular series, Shintigercurl'S Fanfiction Corner. It's where I decide to review little fanfictions that I've taken a very vested interest in, and you should too. Similar to my manga you should be reading series. If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail art as well as the title, we'll be reviewing a crossover fic. Crossover between what, you may ask? Why, two of my favorite all-time sci-fi series. Now, I was a Trekkie fan for a long time. I watched all the movies when I was younger. I watched the original the TOS series, as well as The Next Generation and DS9, my personal favorite, and Voyager, my personal hatred, and Enterprise. I'm so on. That is until I was firmly in the camp of Star Trek in the mid-90s. That is until a little made-for-TV movie was debuted over here in the States, based on a British sci-fi series called Doctor Who. It starred an unknown actor named Peter McGann, and it was my first exposure into the Doctor Who universe. I love the TV movie, and I still watch it, and it's the first taste I would have of Doctor Who up until the restart of the series in the early 2000s with Christopher Eccleston. Now, the series as a whole has seen a resurgence due to the popularity of all the Doctors from the restart, mainly Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, and the most recent one, and a personal favorite of mine, Peter Capaldi. So, of course, being a fan fiction reader myself, I often wondered if anyone wrote any good crossovers between Star Trek and Doctor Who. I scoured fanfiction.net and searched for a nice, decent one. Some were good, some were bad. But I found one that particularly caught my interest. One, like my other previous ones, I always go back to, that I always look to as sort of the standard bearer for Doctor Who Star Trek crossovers. And this is the one. May I introduce you to A Captain and a Madman, written by Raziel, Lord of Squirrels. It has 22 chapters, over 95,000 words. Currently, 271 reviews, 72 counting myself. Fave list 611, followed by 240 people. It was published in May of 2013 and finished in the same year. Of course, it's completed. Now, like all good crossovers, it needs a framing device in which to set up the crossover. All right, it takes place shortly after the events. Well, as far as Doctor Who concerns, it goes into the mid-run of Matt Smith's run as the 11th Doctor. It is shortly after the wedding of River's Song, in which the Doctor, well, according to the preamble, it takes place during the 11th Doctor's flight from the Silence and his inevitable death. This is just after he drops off Amy and Rory and pretty much avoiding his destiny to go to Trenzalore, where he will eventually die. And on the TNG side of things, it takes place around season 5. It may be moments that glitch in the timeline. He can't really keep the author can't keep the entire series organized in his head. It's something of a slow-paced one, but it gets better as you get reading. Sorry, I'm flubbing a little bit, but anyway, basic premise: the Doctor, frightened of deciding to go quiet after all the events surrounding the Silence, which is a religious order that were determined to stop the Doctor from answering the first question. For those of you who are in the Doctor Who you would know what this is. I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who are not into Doctor Who, or were thinking of getting into Doctor Who but don't want to be spoiled, so I'll just leave that alone. So he decides to do something he's never done in a while: take a trip outside the universe to the next universe over. The next universe over happens to be the Star Trek universe, particularly the era of the Enterprise D, captained by Jean-Luc Picard. Now, it turns out that, as normal, because the TARDIS runs on the universe that it's in, it can't really get power in the universe of TNG for obvious reasons. The Doctor gets picked up by the Enterprise crew. He immediately starts making friends as they try to help him with his whole problem. And then he begins to realize that there's certain problems. He checks the database, and there is no version of the Doctor that he can see. Usually, when he goes to other universes, he often checks to see if there's what the version of that Doctor is doing. Unfortunately, he says there is no Doctor in that universe. In fact, there are no Time Lords. This causes him, of course, to ramp up his amped curiosity, wondering just what the hell happened to the Time Lords in that reality. Add to this mix that the Federation wants the Doctor for his knowledge as well as his TARDIS, and leads to an all-or-nothing chase between the Doctor and the Federation, as he's popping up in the future and the past of that particular Star Trek. It's interesting because it allows the Doctor to interact with various famous captains of the series. Like, he goes way back into the past and encounters the original Enterprise crew, captained by James Tiberius Kirk, which they have a nice little dialogue between them. I love it. And he also pops aboard the USS Voyager, and of course meets the she-harpy that is Captain Janeway. He even runs afoul of the Time Federation. They were introduced in Voyager. Basically, they were the Federation of the future who had mastered time travel to the extent that they could literally transport a person or away or to a very specific second in time. And they've been keeping track of the Doctor. It's very exciting. I mean, the moments when it ramps up are amazing. It's just interesting to watch the Doctor interact with all these different crews, as well as several threats from the series. Like he even goes head up against the Borg, including the Borg Queen. I'm not going to spoil too much there. A lot of little nods, a lot of little Easter eggs from the various Star Trek series, from TOS to TNG to Voyager and even to Enterprise. He has a run-in with with Jonathan Archer's Enterprise before and after the whole Xindi shit, and even runs into Daniels, a temporal time agent, far into the future. But yeah, what can, and of course just to let you know, the Captain Picard does end up in the TARDIS, and he does travel with the Doctor for a little bit. I won't say when, I won't say where, but it is interesting. This Raziel was able to woefully and skillfully get the Doctor's mannerisms around, as well as the interactions he has with various famous crew members. I particularly like his interactions with Guinan. It was worthwhile watching these two seemingly immortal beings just shoot the shit with one another, and it's just very interesting to read about. But the one thing I always tell people about this one is the twist. There is a twist ending to this that is so expertly done. I'm not even going to hint at what the twist is, because that might spoil something for you. I don't want to do that to you. You deserve to read this for yourself. And when you read this son of a bitch and you get to the twist, you'll be like, oh my God, that makes total and perfect sense. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not even going to hint at it. I just want you to read it. Read it for yourself and be thoroughly invested in what's going on. And at the end, there isn't even a nice little moment where he kind of thanks Captain Picard for all he's done in helping him unravel the mystery about what happened to himself in this reality. I'm not going to say what it is. It deals with Star Trek Generations. I'm not going to spoil it, but it kind of hits you in the heart. But yeah, this fic definitely is warrant of a reading, as well as a look over. If you are a fan of Star Trek and Doctor Who and have been looking for that one fic that perfectly blends together these two preeminent sci-fi series, A Captain and a Madman is definitely one that you really need to look for. This is not just one of my favorite Doctor Who Star Trek crossover fic ever. This is in the running as one of my favorite crossover fics ever. And I have a lot of them, believe you me. I got some pretty high standards, so that you should know from me that is high praise. So Raziel, Lord of Squirrels, if you're listening to this, I tip my hat and give you a firm salute, sir. You have crafted yourself an amazing crossover, and this warrants me wanting to read your other works. So yeah, that's my review. I'll leave a link in the description to the guy's fanfiction page, as well as to the story itself. After this, you should be reading it, like as soon as this video is done. So I'm not gonna keep you any longer. You need to go read this shit. So anyway, that's another pick from my personal favorite fanfiction collection. If you like what you've heard, link, comment, subscribe below. Got any questions, comments, or any suggestions for fanfics I should read in the next couple of weeks? Leave it below. I'll get back to you. Supporting the channel, you already know. I got that Patreon, so I could use some support. Tip jar is up in the corner. You can easily look me up at Captain Luffy on Twitter, so you can listen to me there. So until next time. This has been Shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, saying good day, and make it show, Doctor. Thank you.